Here we go.
What's up? Sound like the annoying orange. What's up? What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the live stream. My name is Nicholas, aka the Notorious Fantasy. How are you guys doing today? Hope everybody is doing well. Thank you guys so much for stopping by the live stream. We are going to get into the questions. Rapido, as they say in Espanol. I appreciate everyone for stopping by. Thank you guys so much. I hope you guys are having a great Thursday. Club going up on a Thursday. I mean, the game tonight is far from ideal, but I want you guys to remember that in a few months, a few short months from now, you are going to be very, very sad that there is no football on. So, got to lock in even for these garbage can games. So let's get on into things. Hey, Nick, what's good? Hi, I'm doing good. What do you think? Do you think Pacheco's value will increase with Rice back? Honestly, I think Pacheco's value will only increase when the team actually commits to giving him the ball. And what I mean by that is when the team fully commits to handing him the ball more. They're giving him the snaps. If they just let him run more, he's going to be successful. The question is, when are they going to actually let him do that? And that is a very, 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 very big question at this point that I feel like doesn't have like a definitive answer. Like I feel like we're kind of just in limbo right now with Pacheco. I think it's fine to trade for him. I think the best times are ahead, but it's been bad. What's up? What's going on? Rodgers or Wentz? I would play Rodgers because we know he's going to play for sure. That's my man, Jamar. And now it's time for the main event of the evening. Waddle up, Nick. Yeah, Waddle's going to get traded, I think, at this point. I think that's pretty clear. Do I think he should get traded? No. Do I think he will get traded? Maybe. It's just sad, honestly, because Waddle's like one of the only guys that I actually, feel pretty good about on the team. So losing him would really suck. But that's just how the NFL goes, right? You're not going to have your favorite player forever. Like, I still am a fan of Tua. I think Tua's probably done. Maybe not this year, but within the next few years, Tua's probably gone. And that sucks too. But losing Waddle will hurt significantly more. Been a big fan of Waddle his whole career, and now bro is going to be gone. He's going to be on the Giants. And then, a bunch of my friends are Giants fans. I only root for the Giants. I'm going to have to be praying on their downfall if Waddle's there. Think about selling high on Pickens. I think that's fine. I think Pickens' value right now, though, is not pretty low, but the right move to sell high on Pickens would have been like 2 weeks ago. Right now his value is probably at the most fair. What's good, everybody? Yeah. Now I retweeted that too. I read apparently that Waddle never had Dolphins in his IG, so we'll see. Start DK Metcalf today or BTJ? I'd lean with BTJ. What's up, my guy? Same question as last week. Fields or Jones? I would lean Daniel Jones. I have Fields ranked relatively high this week. I think Fields is going to just do what he always does, right? He's going to have these really shitty games, right? Where you started him and you're going to be really pissed. You're going to be like, Nick, how dare you have told me to start him? And I get it, right? I fully acknowledge when I'm wrong about something. I'm not going to sit here and lie and be like, oh man, well, he should have been so much better. No, he shouldn't have been better. He almost should have been worse. He was absolutely fucking dreadful in that game. He could not do anything when he had the ball in his hands. He had no idea what he was doing, but I do think he bounces back. But I still lean with Daniel Jones. Greetings, loved ones. You guys, is Bowers a hold in redraft? I mean, I think he's just a hold strictly because in all reality, what could possibly be his trade value, right? Like, is anyone out there looking to trade for you, like a guy that's banged up with a knee injury? on the Raiders? The answer is no. Right now, maybe in your league he has a lot of name value, so you can just ship him off because of that. Maybe that's possible, right? I'm not speaking for everyone because everyone's league is different, right? We all know this. Some people play in leagues with people that are a bunch of geniuses. Some of you guys might play with, Janice from The Office, people from your family, and it might be a significantly easier experience from one person to the other. So I'm not going to say it's impossible that you could get a good payday for him. But for a lot of you guys, if you were to try to trade him, the value is going to be just incredibly low. So I would not be very interested in trading him on the low. I'd probably just hold him because like Michael Mayer performed well. So if you hold him, the payoff could be good enough to warrant actually holding him. So he's not really a guy I'm looking to trade. I've got him on one of my fantasy teams, and I'm not trading him. It's tough with Bowers. No, I agree with you. It sucks. Fantasy is a tough game because obviously you can make all the correct decisions, right? You thought you made the correct decision drafting him. I thought it was fine to draft him where you did, and he was okay when he was healthy, but now he's just hurt, and it sucks. That's just how it goes. Nick, I've got myself quite the pickle. Do I bench Chase Brown or ride with Dowdle? Yeah, I'm going with Dowdle. I'm going with Dowdle and Born in the Flex. Yeah, it's fine. Also, Breece Hall or J.K. Dobbins this week. I would go with Breece Hall. I think if you're just looking strictly at who the safer bet is, I think J.K. Dobbins is safer than Breece Hall. I think Breece Hall is a very, 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 very risky proposition most weeks. And not because I think that Breece Hall is a bad player. I think it's because Breece Hall is just stuck dealing with an offense that is kind of inept at points, right? You're always down, potentially in for Justin Fields completely shitting the bed. I don't even Breece though. Start three: Chase, London, Tet, Worthy, Keenan Allen. I'm playing Jamar Chase, London, and I would play Tedero McMillan. Start Rico this week, even with Chuba back. Yes. I talk about it in the video that's coming out in like 20 minutes. The video took forever to fucking upload for some reason. It's been uploading for like 2 hours, the running back video. I talk about basically, I'm going to give you the too long didn't read. You're watching the stream. You're probably not going to watch this video until maybe tomorrow or later. Maybe you just listen to it during the game. But in my opinion, I think that you are going to be seeing how this will work is Chuba was limited today. If Chuba records another limited practice tomorrow, my assumption is that Rico Dowdle is in the driver's seat and Chuba Hubbard is on the back burner more of. Not that he's not going to get any touches, but he's just more on the back burner. He's not going to be seeing as much work. If we fast forward to tomorrow and Chuba practices in full, then that kind of bumps Rico down. I got Rico right now as close to a top 12 option, even if Chuba plays limited. If Chuba plays in full and it's more of a 50-50 split, I would have to drop him down. It's more of like the mid-range RB2 to potentially low-end RB2 range. So right now, I feel pretty good about Rico Dowdle. That's my opinion, based on what we know right now. Cooler Hand, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. Mason Taylor, Cade Otton, PPR. Thanks. That's a great question. I answered this earlier for someone else in the comment section. And I assume a lot of you guys are going to have questions this week about Mason Taylor. A lot of people are going to be like, Nick, Mason Taylor absolutely skull fucked me last week. Mason Taylor was absolutely dreadful. And look, I agree with you, right? I'm not going to sit here and lie and be like, oh, yeah, Mason Taylor actually had a really good game. No, he didn't, right? We all know he didn't. But I think Mason Taylor does bounce back. Look, they do not have their main wide receiver, Garrett Wilson. So what they're going to have to do is just feed the ball to Mason Taylor. I mean, if you look at that wide receiver core outside of Garrett Wilson, it's just a bunch of randomly generated names, right? You ever play like Madden, right? And you get to like not weak, but you get to a couple years down the line and you just have a bunch of NPCs on your team, like you're the Dolphins, but all the guys have retired. So you just have a bunch of randos on your team. That's basically how the wide receiver core is in New York with the Jets. So I do think that you're going to get a lot of opportunities for Mason Taylor. With that said, though, with so many injuries for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I'm going to lean with Otton. Otton played well last week. I do worry, there's just always that worry with the Jets deep down that Mason Taylor just won't be able to get anything going because the offense will look so bad. Again, I don't want this to be like, oh, we're sitting Mason Taylor because I have Mason Taylor and him ranked back to back. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure we got him back to back. Let's check here real quick. I got Mason Taylor as my tight end 12. Cade Otton, tight end 10. So basically back to back. I'm leaning with Cade Otton. I just see him getting a little bit more of a safer. He's more of a safer bet in my opinion. If you're looking strictly to be like, Nick, I need 20 points, right? If you just need a guy that has the potential to score 20 points, then to me, that would be Mason Taylor. I don't think you're going to see Cade Otton score 20 points, but I think Cade Otton is significantly safer, and I do have him ranked higher. Joe Gonzalez, thank you for the super chat. Dowdle, ETN, or Mason Taylor, full PPR in the flex. Great question. Now, I would absolutely love for the answer to be clear, right? The answer, like if we're going into last week and say we're going into this week and the Jets play decently, I'm probably just gonna, Mason Taylor, I would say he's pretty safe, but he's not safe, right? That's not the scenario we live in. I would lean, in my opinion, with Dowdle. Just write this down. If Dowdle plays, and which he's going to, and Chuba Hubbard is limited in practice on Friday, to me, the answer is crystal clear that it is Dowdle. If Chuba Hubbard is limited on Friday in practice, you can just look up. All you have to do is type in Chuba Hubbard Roto World, and it will tell you. Is he full practice, limited? He recorded limited practice today. If he's limited again, it's Rico Dowdle, because I think Rico Dowdle will see 70-ish% of the touches if that is the case. If Chuba Hubbard goes in full in practice tomorrow, what that tells me is this is going to be closer to a 50-50 split. I'm not saying it's going to be an identical 50-50 split in snaps. I'm not saying it's a 50-50 split in terms of touches. But what I'm saying is I think it will be more likely to be a closer split. So for me, if Chuba Hubbard is out or Chuba Hubbard is limited or out, it's easily Dowdle. If Chuba Hubbard is in and practices in full, it's going to be ETN. So that's how I look at it. If Chuba Hubbard is in and fully healthy, it's ETN. If Chuba Hubbard is in and limited or out, it's Dowdle. Jonathan, thank you so much for the super chat. Traded Nico Collins, Mason Taylor, and JCM for Waddle, Warren, and Darnell Mooney. Needed a tight end, and my wide receivers are stacked with Lamb, Chase, Adunze, and now Waddle. Full PPR, I'm worried about A-Chain and Waddle with the weather. I think that was a fine trade. I'm not going to sit here and say you dominated that trade, right? I'm not going to sit here and say that you clearly won that trade, because if JCM ends up being very good and if Mason Taylor ends up bouncing back, you may have lost that trade. But, it's also kind of confusing too, because Waddle might get traded to the Giants. And Waddle as the wide receiver one in Miami, I get Jackson Dart's better than Tua. No shit, okay? I'm not going to argue with you about that. I'm not going to lie to you and be like, oh, Tua's so good, because he's not. I think that he's technically in a better situation in Miami. Now, what I will tell you is I think that's a fine trade. If Darnell Mooney comes back and is healthy, you're good. And your wide receiver core is already stacked, so you don't even have to worry about that. What I will say, though, is, if the weather ends up being very, 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 very bad, which I think is 100% in play. Again, I'm not a weatherman. I'm not a weather guy. I can't fucking predict the weather. What I will tell you is if the weather is bad, that we might be in for a real rough game with the Dolphins and the Browns. If there is 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts, 60, 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts, I mean, you throw the ball, the thing's it's going sideways, it's getting tilted. Even the most accurate passers in the NFL, the guys with the best arms, they're going to struggle in that game. So imagine what a guy like Tua and Dylan Gabriel are going to do. If it is like that, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think anyone should be starting Waddle or Waller. I think you're making a very big mistake if you do. Now, again, that's if, okay, not it's guaranteed to. If that does happen, then I think you're going to be very disappointed. If that does happen again. If. I hope you understand that's a big if. So for me, I think that trade is fair. I'm not going to say you won that trade like, oh, you robbed them, highway robbery, because I think for a trade to be super highway robbery, it's very unlikely for it to even get accepted, right? For you to have just completely swindled someone. But yeah, I do think that trade is fine. And I definitely think you guys should not be in on Waddle and all these guys if it ends up, being the crazy weather. I think that's probably the smartest move, is to not necessarily just full on avoid the game, because Quinshon Judkins should be good and so should Achane. But being all over the Dolphins wide receiver or tight end would be kind of crazy if it's gonna be that windy. Now, again, take it with a grain of salt because by Sunday the weather report could be very different. But as of right now, it sounded a little bit gross. But as a whole, I think that trade is fine. Especially getting Warren. I think Warren's just such a free square every week. It just feels so good. So I do like that trade. Arav, Aji. I've said your name before. I probably said it different every time, and I do apologize. Genuinely, anyone, if I say your name wrong, I genuinely do apologize. Shout out to Jonathan Mawini before for the super chat. Every time I try to pronounce people's names, I get them wrong. People pronounce my last name wrong all the time. I was shocked that the DJ at my wedding said it initially correct before I even had to correct him. So that's probably the first person to ever get that right. So, but I do apologize. I am an idiot, as they say. Correction: 1 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 1 flex. Okay, thank you. 1 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 1 flex. Got you. Rashee Rice to me is a must-start play this week. You didn't draft and or trade for him to sit on your fucking bench when he comes back. I talked about it when we were drafting him, and I said, you know what? I might be a little bit more pessimistic on Rashee Rice the second he returns. Maybe we don't want to go gung-ho and start him in week 1. Maybe we'll be a little bit more pessimistic. Maybe we'll be a little bit more nervous. But now that I have gotten my wits with me, now that I've thought about it, you're definitely playing Rashee Rice in his first game back against the Raiders. I personally expected back then when I said that. Personally, I thought the Raiders would be a little bit better. And they're not. They're not good at all. So I think the clear play is Rashee Rice. You cannot sit Rashee Rice this week. Unless, of course, you're one of those people that has just like 3 locked and loaded wide receiver ones. Most people don't have that. So most people will be playing Rashee Rice this week. And most people will be seeing what the hell goes on because I do think there is clear risk with playing Rashee Rice this week, right? I think that has to be acknowledged that it is risky. But at the end of the day, just because it's risky doesn't mean that you can't do it, right? Just because it's a little bit risky doesn't mean you can't play him. So Rashee Rice for sure. You need a tight end. I would go Kittle just to avoid the Dolphins game. So it's Rashee Rice, Kittle. And if Quentin Johnson plays, I'm going QJ. If Quentin Johnson is out, it's Devonta. So Kittle, Rashee, and QJ. If QJ misses, it will be Devonta. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. Jonathan, have Breece Hall and Rico Dowdle and Chuba also, so not worried about running backs. Have Rico ready for the flex. For Waddle, if it's bad weather, still going to dock A-Chain, though. Yeah, I think A-Chain definitely is a guy you just kind of have to start. I think the fact that it is going to be that kind of weather impacts A-Chain more than it impacts, more than it would impact Quinshon Judkins, because Quinshon Judkins is more of the running type of a running back. A-Chain more of the pass catching running back. But yeah, I really do like I do really still think A-Chain's gonna have a big game. I think Judkins gonna have a big game as well. Again, when we try to talk about the weather, though, it's important to understand that today's not Sunday. On Sunday morning, we will see. Before the game, there's always like where they show the stadium, and if you see the flags that are up there and the flags are going fucking crazy left and right, then you probably want to be scared. I'm not someone that ever is the guy that's like, oh man, if there's 17-mile-an-hour winds, you got to be fucking scared to death and you can't play anyone. I'm not that kind of guy. But in this kind of weather, I am that kind of guy that is deathly afraid of getting screwed by that. So I would go BTJ. I'm just answering some Patreon questions. Make sure the Miami weather is bipolar. I think the game is in Cleveland, right? But yeah, even so, I mean, any weather in Florida is bipolar. It'll be anytime I've ever been in Florida, it's like it's raining 1 second, the grossest thing ever, and then out of nowhere, it's just super nice again. Browns, Dolphins. I think it's at Cleveland, but yeah, the weather in Miami is also messed up. So yeah, that's good though that you have Rico ready for your flex. I think Rico's going to have a pretty good game this week, even with Chuba. I mean, I think Chuba more than likely will eventually retake the throne, but Rico's ran so hot, and he's coming off an injury and he's been limited in practice. Like, to me, that doesn't really indicate that he's 100% healthy. So yeah, I like Dowdle a lot. I'd feel good about Dowdle if Waddle isn't able to go. Should I drop Rashad Smith for Bam Knight or Michael Carter on the waivers? Yeah, if you need a bye week fill-in, you definitely would prefer to have Bam Knight, in my opinion. Start Dart, Lawrence, or Rattler. I would go Dart. Captain, I've been hearing all the injured 49ers have practiced limited. I don't know exactly which ones are limited. I know Brock Purdy was limited and Mac Jones practiced in full. I don't know about Ricky Pearsall. I know George Kittle intends to play. So let's look up Ricky Pearsall. I think George Kittle is going to go. Ricky Pearsall, Roto World. Roto World's where I get all my news because that's like the most reliable thing. Yeah, Ricky Pearsall did not practice. My assumption again, Ricky Pearsall out. I said some video a few days ago. Ricky out. Mac Jones in. Kendrick Bourne, wide receiver 1. That's my assumption. Keep Vidal for show. I got Rashi Rice's wide out 10 this week. I think I got him at 11. At 11. I want to rank him higher. There's just too many good receivers, man, in fantasy football. Like at the tippy top, there's so many good ones. Then, of course, as you get deeper, it gets bad. But I got it: Amon-Ra, JSN, Drake London, Jamar Chase, Roma Dunze, Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb. Oh, I have Rice at 9. Rashi Rice is my wide receiver 9. Wide receiver 9. I tried to send Caitlin a message on the Patreon. I tried to send the heart emoji, but I have no idea how the fuck to find that on my computer. So I just type back heart emoji. Alrighty. RJ, thank you for the super chat. And we'll answer normal questions as well, just so you guys know. Just because you don't super chat doesn't mean that you're not going to get your question answered. Just to be very, 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 very clear. That's just how the stream goes. If you super chat, you're more than likely to get the answer because you paid. I mean, you are likely to get the answer because you paid. You're going to get the answer. Got Kyron, Rashad White, Jamar. Jamar. No problem, Caitlin. Jamar, Tet, JK, Rico. Evans currently on the bench. One has to go. Start Evans over Tet, JK, or Rico. His injury makes me nervous. For me, I don't think you have to force Mike Evans into your lineup in this scenario. Mike Evans, practicing limited, not practicing in full, probably not going to be 100% good to get, like 100% healthy. Now, if he plays, a lot of you will just play him, right? And I think that's a fine thought process to have, right? If you drafted Mike Evans, you've seen he's been okay this season, you're going to play him. I get it. I'm not going to sit here and poo-poo anyone for playing Mike Evans, right? You drafted him highly. He's a good player. You play him. I mean, I don't think that's that crazy. But for me, I honestly think the only option for flipping would be J.K. Dobbins. If you want to flip, you could flip for J.K. Dobbins. But J.K. Dobbins has been so consistent that in your scenario, I almost would prefer to just play Mike Evans and not have to actually worry about. I mean, just play J.K. Dobbins and not have to worry about Mike Evans. I don't think Mike Evans is going to have a bad game. He's just limited. I don't think he's going to be at his best. If you are like Nick, I need Evans in the lineup, go ahead and play Evans over J.K. Dobbins. That would be my answer to that question. It would be Evans over J.K. Dobbins. But personally, I would rather play all of those guys and just let Evans chill. Let Evans chill on the bench. Drop 2 in order. Thank you so much, Rob, for the super chat. Drop 2 in order. Sharp, Bam, RJ Harvey, Kendre Miller. If I had to drop 2, if I have to order these guys, the guys I want the most would be Charbonnet. Second most would be Bam. Third most would be Harvey. Fourth most would be Kendre Miller. The reason why I want Harvey more than Miller is because at this point, we just got a report a couple hours ago that Alvin Kamara does not want to be traded. Basically, that Alvin Kamara, if he was traded, he would just flat out retire. And that is just far from ideal. That he would just flat out retire. So that is not good at all. That is not good at all. For the Kendre Miller stands, that is terrible for Kendre Miller bags. So that's why I would prefer to have Harvey over Kendre Miller. Because look, I think if Kamara was to get hurt, yes, Kendre Miller would be good. But if nothing happens to him, I don't think there's any chance that we see a scenario play out where he overtakes Kamara. Whereas I think there is still a live chance for Harvey to actually overtake um his his counterpart in J.K. Dobbins. So if I'm dropping two guys, it's R.J. Harvey and Kendre Miller. If I rank them in order of how much I want to keep them, it'd be Charbonnet, Bam, Harvey, Kendre Miller. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you. Thank you very much. Should I accept the trade? Thank you, Droid, for Tet, Javante, Kroski. Should I accept the trade for Tet and Javante for Kroski, Jaden Daniels, and Jake Ferguson? Would I accept a trade? Tet and Javante for Kroski, Jaden Daniels, and Jake Ferguson. Okay, if you are getting Tet and Javante, I think you win that trade. That's one of those that is very, very, very close. In my opinion, that's not one of those where, again, this is kind of another one of those scenarios where no one is really the clear winner. The reason why I'd prefer to have Javante and Tet is because I believe that Javante Williams rest of season is a locked and loaded top 12 option. He is a very, very, very safe top 12 option week in and week out. I think Tedero McMillan will become a very reliable top 24 to 18-ish wide receiver. I understand that maybe he's not there yet, but I believe he will become that. When it comes to Jaden Daniels, Jake Ferguson, and Kroski Merritt, Jaden Daniels. One second. I think that Jaden Daniels' value is going to be fine. I think Jake Ferguson's value is going to tank a little bit with CeeDee Lamb back. Just because, I mean, if you have you have two good wide receivers like that, and you have Jake Ferguson, and Jake Ferguson's the kind of guy that relies on a heavy amount of targets, right? Jake Ferguson isn't one of those guys that gets 5 targets and, you're kind of happy with it, right? Jake Ferguson's more of a guy that needs 7+ targets to have that big game. So I think I would prefer to have Tet and Javante Williams. I think quarterbacks mostly are highly replaceable in fantasy football. I've pretty much always felt that way. Whereas unless you have Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, whoever the top 2 guys are, I think, Jaden was a top end quarterback last week. I think he'll be a top end quarterback this week. But if he's like the quarterback 13 for the next 5 weeks, would anyone be surprised? The answer to that is no. I think quarterback is by far and away the most replaceable position in fantasy football. So yes, I do like that trade. I prefer to have Tet and Javante. I've said that I made it like a long-winded answer for something that's very easy. Yes, I would prefer Tet, and yes, I would prefer Javante over Kroski, Jaden Daniels, and Jake Ferguson. I want Kroski Merritt to be very reliable, and I think he might end up becoming very reliable. But at the end of the day, would I bet my life on it? No, I wouldn't, because I think there's a chance that he's just kind of mid. And even if they give him all the carries, he's never able to truly excel enough to be that guy. Do I think he could be a top 12 running back? Yes. Well, I guarantee it now. Jason, thank you so much for the super chat. Jason's question was, I just scrolled too far. Jason, can you leave your question in chat? Am I missing it? Thank you so much. Amazing pancakes. I appreciate you. Am I missing Jason's question? I'm still standing. Yeah. Jason, I'm not seeing your question. Can you leave it in chat? I feel like I've scrolled past it. I don't feel like an idiot. Thank you, the motivational man with Ramsey J. I appreciate you. Daniel Jones, a solid quarterback rest of season, or go with Knicks. I prefer Daniel Jones over Knicks. Rank your team. Is that what you said? Yeah, rate my team. Okay. Daniel Jones, CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Adams, Cortland Sutton, CMC, Breece Hall, Tucker, Cavani Vidal, Knicks, Watson, Horton, Aaron Jones, Miller, Omarion Hampton. I would say that this team is very good. Your only real thing that's limiting you is potentially your running back depth, because you don't necessarily have that clear RB3 piece on your bench that feels great for the rest of the season, because eventually Omarion Hampton will be back, and then Vidal's kind of not the best. But again, that's like a very, very, very small, minute issue. Oh no, never mind. You already have a Marion Hampton. So yeah, your team is basically perfect. You have a elite potential tight end with Tucker. You have Christian McCaffrey and Brees Hall, who are high end running backs. You have Devontae Adams, Cortland Sutton, and CeeDee Lamb. I mean, I don't really see a single hole in that lineup. I guess your biggest hole is quarterback, but you have two of them, right? You have Daniel Jones and Bo Nix, who could be top 5 guys. And I agree with you. Running back position is hard to get. So, but I also take away what I previously said because you have O'Marion Hampton. So, yeah, I mean, your team is, I mean, I don't think anyone's team is technically a 10, right? I think in order to have like a 10 team, you probably have to have fleeced a bunch of people in your league in order to acquire that, or you just found a crazy bunch of waiver wire gems. Like, for instance, if Jawan Johnson ended up as like a top 2 tight end weekly, which he's not, I know, and you picked him up off the waiver wire, and that's how he's been. Like, that's the kind of guy that's like perfect. Tucker Kraft more up and down, but even so, I would feel great if I had your team, and I feel very, very, very good about your team rest of season. I think, again, no one's team is perfect, but your team is close to perfect. It's probably like a 9 out of 10. I would say like 9.5 out of 10. So if I was you, I'd feel very, very good about that team. And yeah, I do prefer Daniel Jones to Bo Nix just because it kind of seems like both guys are kind of in similar situations, right? Where the offense is good, but they don't necessarily need to throw the ball a million times. But Daniel Jones is more likely to get more rushing yards on a weekly basis, and that just inherently makes him a little bit safer. Thank you again for the super chat. I prefer Daniel Jones. It's not necessarily by like a crazy margin. Like, I would have rest of season. I don't do rest of season rankings. Maybe I would if more people asked for them on the Patreon. I don't do them. If I was to just think off the top of my head, Daniel Jones is like a top 10 guy. Bo Nix is like a top 14 guy. So it's not by like the widest of margin, but I do lean Daniel Jones personally. I just like his rushing upside a little bit more. And Jason, please send your question in chat. I still don't see it. Still don't see it unless you were just sending me $2 because you like me, which is possible, and I appreciate that. And if your question is not going through, leave it in the Discord, and then tell me that you left in the Discord, and then tell me what your Discord name is, and I'll go in there because I feel bad when people super chat and I don't get to answer their question because YouTube sometimes blocks out people's questions. And I have every single thing possible on to allow you guys to say anything. Like, nothing is banned. You could literally type the most insane words possible. You will get banned if you do it, but you could, it could be sitting there for like half a second. That's just so that everyone could get their questions in because normally YouTube blocks like the most random shit. Tez Boutte, Woody Marks, Chase Brown, or Charbonnet in the flex. Thank you, Dave. I really appreciate you. So for me, I really, 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 really like Woody Marks. But I don't think I have the cojones to go for it after what we saw last time. I think Chubb realistically outscores him. I know that sounds sad because we all collectively, like, unless you were just Galaxy Brain, you thought you avoided it, right? You thought, oh, he's not going to be that good, and you avoided that. Then yeah, but a lot of people blew their fab wad for Woody Marks, and I think that was the right move too. I think it was the correct move to go ahead and get Woody Marks, and I think he will eventually become the guy, but it might take a while. Gun to the head, I think I would just play Chase Brown tonight and just hope, just pray to the gods above that he sees 5 targets. Pray to the gods above that maybe he finishes as like a top 24 running back, and that's good enough. The reason why I say that is because if you play Kayshon Boutte, the odds that Kayshon Boutte does what he did last week to me is significantly close to impossible, especially when you factor in the fact that he did have a really good game. It was either week 1 or week 2, and then was just completely invisible after that. I think it's more than likely that we do end up seeing Diggs have the much better game compared to him. So I would go, if I was to rank them, it'd be very simple. It would be Chase Brown. It would be Tez Johnson. it would be Charbonnet, Charbonnet, and then Booty. The reason why I don't have Tez Johnson ranked higher is because it seems like Evans is going to play, and that just very much further complicates things if Mike Evans plays. Because Mike Evans wasn't playing, and it was just Sterling Shepard, and it was just Tez Johnson. I could sit here and just easily tell you to play Tez Johnson because while the floor is basically 2 fantasy points, the ceiling could be 20 fantasy points in a very high-scoring game. But I think I would just go Chase Brown tonight. I think it's going to be a low-scoring, close effort, right? Like, I don't really envision the Pittsburgh Steelers really running away with this one to where the Bengals can't run the ball. So I would lean with Chase Brown again. That would be my rankings of those players. And $2 just because Jason likes me. Thank you. But I have no idea if Jason likes me or not because he hasn't he hasn't even said anything. He hasn't even said anything. Oh man. Irvin, I see what you're doing there. I see what you're doing there, man. Ciao. Thank you, my man, for the super chat. My audio keeps ducking, by the way, when you get too quiet. Sorry. I'll put the mic much closer to me. That does happen. It's because I don't speak very loud on the streams. Like when I'm recording, I do, just because, it's like a little bit of a different environment when you're recording versus when you're streaming. So I'll keep the mic a little bit closer to me. I do apologize. I couldn't get it through, though. No, that's fine. Just type your message out in here and I'll answer it. Or if you're still having an issue, if you're in the Discord, you could just like screenshot your team or whatever the question is, and I'll answer it. You just got to tell me that you sent it into the Discord, and I will easily be able to answer it there. So thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. How confident we feeling about Lamb? I feel pretty good based on what I've heard today. Again, nothing in life is guaranteed, right? I can't say definitively, oh, it's a guarantee that he's going to play. But yeah, I feel pretty good that he's going to play. Yeah, that's 100% the case. It's much easier to speak louder when you're just talking to yourself than it is when I'm on stream, because especially like I assume when people are watching the videos, they're like kind of half paying attention. Whereas when you're watching the stream, I feel like you're more locked in. And if I just start screaming, you're also probably around more people when you're watching my stream because I just don't start cursing a million times when I'm streaming. Warren tonight or Kamara? Great question. I'm going Warren. I like the matchup tonight for Warren a lot. And I know Warren had a down game last week, but that was very, very plausible going into the week, right? When you go up against the Cleveland Browns defense, you're essentially in a very risky scenario, especially if the team's not going to commit to dumping the ball down to you. Now, if they committed heavily to a bunch of checkdowns to Jaylen Warren, I think Jaylen Warren actually would have had a much better showing. Just like kind of why I think A-Chain's going to have a good game, because I think A-Chain's going to get a lot of checkdowns from Tua. And plus, I also think A-Chain's better, to be honest, than Jaylen Warren. Like, Jaylen Warren's more of a serviceable running back at the NFL level, whereas I think A-Chain is more of like a higher-end top 12-ish running back that I would actually prefer. Like, I think if you took Jaylen Warren out of there and put Kenneth Gainwell in there, you're not seeing like a crazy difference. Whereas you take A-Chan out and you put Jaylen Warren there, you would see a crazy difference between the two. So I would lean with Warren. To me, Kamara just kind of feels like you're just kind of waving the white flag. You're just saying, hey, I'm going to get 10 to 14 points, and that's okay with me. That is what you are saying when you put him in. I'm getting 10 to 14 points, and that's okay. If you play Warren, you're like, I should get 10 points. I can get 20 points, though. So I'm going Warren 100%. He just has too good of a matchup. Too good of a matchup. Pittman, Bam Knight, Booty, Shaheed, or Waller. I'm going Pittman. No problem, man. Jason. I don't know why I said Jason. Swage pick video. Josh Allen. That's why I said Josh. Bye week. Can pick up Lawrence, Darnold, or keep Rodgers. I would just pick up Darnold. Darnold has been just the perfect quarterback for when you're in a pinch. I know the last 2 weeks have been very good, but he's more likely to just be 16, 17, 18 fantasy points you get out of there. And if your team was good enough, you won. If your team wasn't good enough, you probably could lose, but it wasn't his fault that you lost. That's kind of how I feel about him. He's like the perfect bye week fill-in. I'm hoping Lamb doesn't shoot Pickens and Ferg to the moon. I don't think that you end up seeing Lamb completely screw those guys over. Obviously, it's not like a huge positive that he's back, right? Because of how many targets that he commands. But I also don't think it's kind of the scenario where, oh Lord, he's back now. The team is just, you know, dead in the water, right? I don't really project that for the other guys, they're dead in the water. Obviously, it helps the team, but I don't think those guys are completely screwed by CD coming back. At least that's what I would project. Yep, make sure you guys are in the Discord. We are in the Discord all the time talking. I answer a decent amount of questions on there. During night games, I am in there a lot. During the Sunday slated games, I typically don't go in there because I just get so mad about the Dolphins that I don't want to just turn the chat into, oh, Nick is a fucking like ruining the chat because he's spamming about how Tua makes him want to just fucking go hang himself, right? I don't want to. And again, sorry for cursing because we try to be very very kind on the stream. We try not to say crazy things like what I just said. So I do apologize because I know some of you guys are watching like the stream with your family. So sorry to your family that I said that. Smash that like button. Factual. Quentin Johnston or Monty? I'm playing Quentin Johnston. If Quentin Johnston plays, you got to play him. Would you start Otten over Whittington? Yes. Hey, Nick, I need help at tight end. Barner and Dalton is what I have. Any tips? I can go for a pickup. Just play Barner and just hope he scores. I think that's fine. I think that's perfectly fine. I think Kincaid will be healthy soon. They're on bye week. And that's kind of the smart move to do, right? Your team's going on bye week. He's dealing with an oblique injury. Do you necessarily need him to beat the Falcons? No. Obviously, they fucking lost the Falcons. So that thought process didn't work. But on paper, that thought process makes sense. Hey, you don't necessarily need him. He's not like the key piece, right? So that's how I feel. That's just how I feel. I think you should go Barner. Have Downs and concussion protocol. MPJ up. Yeah, I watched the play where he got concussed. I don't even remember seeing that during the game. Like, I don't remember that happening. I don't think he's going to play this week. I haven't completely buried him in my rankings yet, and I haven't completely raised MPJ up because I'm just going to wait to see what they say tomorrow, but I don't think he's going to play. I do not think he's going to play. And Chow, as well as Mr. Jason, please leave your question in chat. Zach Jr., thank you so much for the super chat. Been following you the last couple of years. Appreciate the work you put in week in, week out. Just want to show my appreciation. Oh, thank you so much. That means a lot to me. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. You didn't have to do that. Thank you so much. That's crazy. Thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate the picture of your dog. Very cute dog. I don't have any dogs. I'm a cat guy. Because when I was younger, we were at my uncle's house and his dog chased me and I fell, and I'm scared of dogs ever since then. Even though dogs realistically should not scare me. Your dog does not scare me. Certain dogs do though, because I'm a pussy. Sorry about that, but I do appreciate you. It means a lot to me. So thank you so much. What are my thoughts on A-Chain to Seattle? My thoughts are, if Seattle trades for A-Chain, look, I don't want A-Chain to be gone for the Dolphins. I think if A-Chain leaves the Dolphins, that will really hurt my feelings, just because the fact that I think A-Chain's the kind of guy that should be able to stay on the team while we are trying to fix everything. I think if we trade a lot of people, we should be trading away the guys on the defense. I think we should be trying to keep the guy like A-Chain who, I think, whenever you talk about like an undersized running back like that, I get that there's worries of a fall off, but Eckler was pretty solid for a while. And I also think if the team is bad next year, if they trade away a bunch of people and we start rebuilding, he also won't command like a crazy salary, I wouldn't think, because if the team's worse, then he's just going to be worse. So my thoughts are, if they trade him to Seattle, that is a disaster scenario for Seattle and a disaster scenario for A-Chain, because while I think A-Chain would become the lead back if they're willing to trade for him, why in the world would they do that? Like, realistically, it doesn't make sense. I saw this too. To me, it just wouldn't make sense if you're Seattle and you have Kenneth Walker, who's a good running back, very good running back, and now they're kind of just tugging around with, they're already using way too much Zach Charbonnet, and now you're going to add a third, make this a running back trio, and I think A-Chain's value would be not dead, because I still think A-Chain would be the guy to play there, but he'd go from like a must-start top 12 running back to like, oh my gosh, the running back 25 or 26. Well, you haven't heard any of the A-Chain rumor. I heard that earlier today. They were going to trade. It was A-Chain for, I think it was a fourth plus one of their corners who isn't very good. So that would be a really bad trade for the Dolphins, in my opinion. But could I see them doing it? Yes, because like Chris Greer is so stupid. Like that guy's a disaster. He has screwed us over. If A-Chain leaves the Dolphins, if A-Chain or Waddle leaves the Dolphins, we are not going to win a single game this season. I can guarantee you that. Like we already won one, but we're not winning another game this season. Man, I don't want to get mad on the stream, but like the way that the Dolphins are managed is just such a disgrace. And Chris Greer's Chris Greer's brother is the GM of the Sharks, the San Jose Sharks in the NHL, and the Sharks stink too. It's like what do these guys have on these owners? Like, is this like does he have like blackmail on these guys or something? Like, I don't know. But thank you again so much, Zach. I really appreciate you. I hope A-Chain doesn't get traded to Seattle, but if he does, that's really bad for fantasy. And would destroy completely destroy Walker, completely destroy Charbonnet. So thank you again for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Love you a long time. I appreciate you, Zach. Thank you. Higgins or MPJ, and then Shao, I'm going to get to you. I saw your question, chat. Higgins or Michael Pittman Jr. for the flex. Michael Pittman Jr., whether Josh Downs plays or not, Michael Pittman Jr. has been a very reliable asset in fantasy football for multiple games. Now, it hasn't been necessarily the smoothest sailing because when it's been bad, it's been really bad, right? If you have Michael Pittman Jr., you know this, right? When he has been playing at tip-top shape, you have felt amazing. You're like, wow, I feel so good that I'm starting this guy every single week. And when it's been bad, it's been like, I can't believe I played him. I lost because of it, right? Like, he's not having a bad game scoring 9 points. He's having a bad game scoring 3 points. With that said, though, even with the downsides of Michael Pittman Jr., the downside of Higgins is like legitimately in the dumpster. And the upside to me just feels almost like his upside is like 12 fantasy points. And that's just not good at all. So for me, I would definitely prefer to play Higgins. So, I mean, oh my gosh, I just almost screwed you over. I would definitely prefer to play MPJ 100%. Chase Brown, Henderson, or Woody at the flex. Great question. I appreciate you. The answer that would be Chase Brown. Look, guys, I'm starting to think that the Henderson season's never going to happen. I'm not saying cut Travion Henderson because if you cut him, that basically ensures that he's going to become the guy. And I still think he's way better than Ramondre, but I don't know what the team is doing. I sit there every single week just perplexed at how a guy can fumble as many times as Ramondre Stevenson and how the team still just has 100% confidence in him. It's like JCM turned into him on Monday Night Football. It's just embarrassing to watch. And there's no Gibson even in the equation anymore. So that's what really confused me. And I don't love Chase Brown or Woody either. I just feel way better about Chase Brown. Chicago or Pitt defense, A-Chain or Kyron rest of season. I personally am in the belief, and thank you. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. I am personally in the belief that A-Chain will not get traded. I just don't understand why they would trade him. I also don't understand why they would trade Waddle. If A-Chain is not traded, I get the Dolphins are going to make moves that are negative for the team. And I think the moves that are going to be negative are mostly defensively. The defense is already bad. I think Bradley Chubb is gone. I think Jalen Phillips are gone more than likely. Now, it becomes much more of a question, do you trade the guys if we win this week and we win next week? And then we're 3-5. Again, obviously, do I guarantee that's going to happen? No. I mean, we just saw what the Falcons did to the Bills, and then we have to play the Falcons after the Browns. And I think the Dolphins, if this game's really rainy and really windy, I think that's like the worst case scenario for the Dolphins. I think they'll outright lose to the Browns, which would be so embarrassing to lose to the Browns. That's really embarrassing. But I would prefer to have A-Chain rest of the season just because I don't think the Dolphins are going to move him. And if they make, again, moves to suffer the defense, they're just going to be throwing the ball more to A-Chain a million times. So for me, it's A-Chain. And then for the defense, the defenses are close. I have Chicago as defense 2. Defense 3. Pittsburgh is defense 5. It is a coin flip. I think if you wanted the safer bet might be the Steelers just because I think the Steelers have a better defense. Um, but I also don't think you're gonna see Flacco get into a game tonight where he throws like three interceptions or does something ridiculous like that. More likely he gets sacked like 3 or 4 times, than he turns the ball over a bunch. Whereas I think Spencer Rattler has played turnover-free football, and I think a defense like the Chicago Bears will end up turning him over, and I think they're gonna tee off on him too. So I would go Chicago, and I would prefer A-Chain over Kyron. Thank you for the super chat. Mac, Rodgers, Tua, Bryce Young, Wentz, Gabriel, Allen on bye. Great question. Tua and Gabriel are basically no's for me just because I think even if it isn't windy and stuff, that just kind of feels like the kind of game where, look, obviously I'm going to watch every snap. I'm a Dolphins fan. I live and die for the team, even though they've screwed me over for years. I just watch the game and I can just project that this is going to be one of those where if you're just someone that watches on Red Zone, or you're someone that watches Sunday Ticket, maybe you got a quad box up, one of those boxes is Red Zone, you will probably, unless you have the Dolphins game on, you will barely see that game. Like you're going to see Quinshon Judkins bust off like an 80-yard run where no one is remotely near him. You'll probably see that twice. You'll probably see A-Chain running for 1,000,000 yards and maybe like a Waddle screen straight to the crib. But you're not going to see that a bunch, right? Like last week against the Chargers, you saw the Dolphins, I would assume, a decent amount on Red Zone. I was watching Red Zone in the Dolphins game. And with the other 3 games up on another screen, the quad box up on a different screen. But I would just not want to play Tua or Gabriel. I think I would go Bryce Young. Bryce Young is starting to look better. I understand he's not safe, but I don't think Rodgers is safe at all. I think it's gonna be a really low scoring game. Like I can see a scenario where the Jets figured things out. Because again, the Panthers defense is significantly softer than Denver. And Justin Fields is the garbage time king. So that game could become close by the end. And I think that's the kind of game where Bryce Young actually is decent enough. I don't think any of these guys that you listed, obviously Josh Allen's a bias, you're fine going forward, are the kind of guy that I think will really finish as like a top 5 quarterback. Like I would be perplexed and shocked completely if any of these guys ended up in the top 5. But I think that Bryce Young's the guy most likely to keep his head above water enough for you to have a successful game and to be able to win with him in your lineup. So for me, it would be Bryce Young up against the Jets. Thank you for the super chat, Esteban. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Would you trade Devontae and Jacoby for Terry and BTJ? I also have Puka on my team. Should I worry about having both Rams wide receivers? Also, how do you view Terry rest of the season? That's a good question. That is a very good question. My opinion on Terry is very simple. I think Terry McLaurin is going to be a reliable wide receiver 2 rest of season once he is healthy and once him and Jaden Daniels get on the same page. Do I think it will take some time? 100%. If Terry McLaurin plays on Sunday, I would not expect Terry McLaurin to go out there and be a top 12 wide receiver. I just wouldn't. And I think you're kind of lying to yourself if you think he will. When he has played this season, he's been okay. He hasn't been so bad to where he's blowing your team up, right? If you started him and you're sitting there and you're like, oh my gosh, why did I play him? He's so bad. This, that, and the other thing. You're not feeling like that, but you're also just feeling like, hey, I kind of got swindled a bit at ADP. He was a guy that I was pretty off on just because when you are in a scenario like he is in where you are, what was I saying? Where you are holding out in the summer, you don't sign the contract, you kind of get into a scenario where you might not have that great connection with the quarterback, and it might take some time for you to get that connection with the quarterback, and that's exactly what has happened. Gun to the head, I'd prefer Terry and BTJ 100%. I think BTJ will outscore Devontae Adams rest of the season. Potentially, like that's close, but I definitely think Terry's going to outscore Jacoby. Jacoby is in hell right now. Jacoby is just at the absolute grace of Geno Smith, and Geno Smith is so bad. Geno Smith is so dreadful. And BTJ is looking on the up and up. I would feel much, much, much better playing. Sorry for snapping. I would feel so much better having Terry and BTJ. I think unless Jacoby gets moved, which he should, it really depends where he gets moved to also to even know that he will be super involved. So I would prefer Terry and BTJ. I would make that move. I feel good about that. I like that trade a lot. Terry and BTJ. Any word on when Bucky's going to be back? He's not back this week. I would project probably next week, you would think, but maybe a week after. Who should I start, Mason or Johnson? Mason or Johnson? Dude, sometimes you guys ask questions, and I have the biggest brain fart on who the fuck Johnson is. And it's probably someone super obvious, too. Johnson. We're definitely not talking Caleb or Roshan, I wouldn't think. Are we talking about Cameron Johnson? Are we talking about Quentin? We're talking about Quentin Johnston, obviously. Jesus. Unless we're not talking about Quentin Johnston. Which Johnson are we talking about? Are we talking about Quentin? Maybe you already said it. Is that who we're talking about? We're talking about QJ? Let me know. Sometimes you guys ask questions, I just completely blank on who they are. Like a generic last name like Johnson just completely blanks me out, and I feel so stupid. Yeah, week 9 bye for Tampa Bay. Yeah, so I would assume he comes back after the bye. Which Johnson is it? Which Johnson is it? Let me know. Jawan. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of Johnsons. That makes things confusing. Talking about Big Johnson. Yeah, who doesn't like a nice Big Johnson? There's a lot of Johnsons. A lot of Johnsons, like a Bonnie Blue video. I would prefer to play Mason because we're talking tight ends here. This is not Jordan Mason. This is the other Mason. This is Jets Mason. I would prefer Mason. Now, the reason why I would prefer Mason is because I think that Mason Taylor is going to bounce back. I think he's going to see a not ridiculous amount of targets potentially, but look, dude, there is no way that the Jets are going to be relying on the wide receivers they have. I mean, the wide receivers that the Jets have outside of Garrett Wilson, again, it's like legitimate NPCs. I'm going to read off their names here. We got Josh Reynolds. I guess everyone knows who Josh Reynolds is, right? But we got Tyler Johnson. We've got Arian Smith. That sounds like a fake name. Like just a bunch of fake guys. I think you're going to see Mason get a lot of targets in this game, and I think Mason's going to end up being like sneaky good. Now, I don't want to rank him way too high because again, Justin Fields looked so bad last week, but I feel good about Mason. Yeah, and he doesn't play at 9 a.m. either. And that is something that I talk about all the time. Those overseas games, that's when you should never be surprised when like a Jets randomly win a game, right? Like if the Jets beat the Broncos, that really just wouldn't be that crazy because it was overseas, right? The Dolphins should get absolutely demolished by the Commanders in Spain, right? But I think the Dolphins might win because the game's in Spain, right? It's just a random thing to happen. Again, that's not like, oh, Nick, you think the Dolphins are good? I don't. I just think it's possible because it's in Spain. Like those games are always weird. But yeah, definitely I would go Mason Taylor. I feel very good about Mason Taylor bouncing back. And then should you play Golden or Bourne? I'm going to go with Kendrick Bourne, not because I think that Golden is such a bad player, but Kendrick Bourne just gets so fed by Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones is going to be the guy. See ya, man. Have a fun one. I think that you're going to see a lot of looks for Kendrick Bourne again this week. He's been consistent back-to-back games. I might have to bump him up my rankings, especially if Ricky Pearsall is guaranteed out. Right now, I got Kendrick at 23. I mean, 23 feels fair. Like, I don't think anyone's looking at 23 ranking for Kendrick Bourne and being like, oh, Nick, you got him way too low. I don't think anyone's thinking that. So I would go Kendrick Bourne for sure. Leo, thank you so much for the super chat. Full PPR. I just read PPR like 18 different times. Rashi break 20 PPR points. I think he could. I wouldn't project him to though. Like I wouldn't lock him into 20. I think like 18-ish probably more likely. Full PPR need one wide receiver, one flex, and a tight end. Michael Wilson, Michael Carter, Whittington, Charbonnet, or Henderson. Tight end, Janu, Mayer, Mason Taylor. Thanks, man. No problem. For me, Mason Taylor would be your tight end. I have Mason Taylor in a lot of leagues because my teams are on the struggle bus in some leagues where I kind of just have to play Mason Taylor. I drafted Mark Andrews. I've cut Mark Andrews, and he's just not an option for me. Going up against my buddy Connor this week in one of my home leagues, the dude that was the best man at my wedding. Gonna have to beat his ass, obviously. Obviously gonna beat him. Duh. But I got Mason Taylor in that league. I've got Mason Taylor, I think, in every league. I'm pretty sure he's my starting tight end. So yeah, I do feel pretty good about him. Janu Smith, I feel zero goodness about. I think that's the kind kind of situation where Darnell Washington could be the number one scorer or Freiermuth, so you just don't even want to play with that. So for me, I would go Mason Taylor. I would go at wide receiver. I would play Whittington. Michael Wilson kind of doesn't even feel like the best play for the Cardinals. I think the best play without Marv would be Zay Jones. Michael Wilson feels like the wide receiver one on paper, but again, football ain't played on the paper. It's played on the gridiron. Man, do I want to put T. Higgins in on this team? Dude, my team is this one team I have is so fucking dreadful. I'm going to have to play Nick Chubb over Travion Henderson. That's so disgusting. So disgusting. Okay, but back to the question. It's going to be Michael Carter because I think Michael Carter, it's going to be Charbonnet. You're going to pray to the god Charbonnet scores. So Charbonnet, Whittington, are you bipolar? I'm by winning Whittington. And you're going to go Mason Taylor. Whittington, Charbonnet, pray for the touchdown. And you're going to go Mason Taylor. Thank you for the super chat. Is Gainwell playable tonight? Depends just how down bad you are in reality. Great matchup. Do I prefer to play him? No. Could he be good? Yeah. Who would you start? What's up, Little Boat? Little Boat. Who would you start at wide receiver of these guys? If you're starting 2, I'm playing Adams and Rice. You can play 3. Olave's getting the pine. How do we feel about Jalen Warren tonight? I feel pretty good. I'm hesitant to get too high on him because Gainwell still looks good, but I still feel pretty good about him. Pretty good. Chase Brown, sit Bam. I agree with that. DK or Swift? DK. I don't think Swift's doing that again, man. Let's just keep answering questions here. Would you start Mason Taylor over Tez Johnson? Yes. Start Golden, Rico, or Pollard. I'd go Rico, Higgins, Addison, or Wandale. I'd go Wandale, or I think I'd go Addison. I traded my Pickens and A-Chain for Raji Rice, Kamara, Keenan Allen, and Fannin. Dude, I don't love that. I don't love that, if I'm being honest with you. Do I think that's like a complete and utter fleece? No. I think I just don't like Kamara enough. That's honestly really it. That's really it. It also depends who's on the rest of your team, too. I mean, I don't love that, I'll be honest. Who would you start at wide receiver? I ran into that. Any sleeper prediction for these weeks? Like, do I think any sleeper guy is going to have a good game? I think the biggest sleeper that could probably have a good game, honestly, would probably be Gainwell. Game time. Good luck to everyone. Good luck. Game starts in, I think, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, something like that. Full PPR, Fields or Flacco? Fields for me. Justin Fields. I'm starting Saquon and Warner running back. I'm praying. Best of luck. 12-man full PPR. What's your question? Best of luck. Yeah, make sure you guys are in the Discord. I have Pollard and Chuba. Oh, man. I'm probably going to play Pollard, but I get it. If you want to play Gainwell, go ahead. Like, in that scenario, if you want to play Gainwell, go ahead. I have Rome as well. You think Rome over Olave? Yes. Rodgers, Jones, or Dart? Great question. I would lean Jones. Should I start both Cade Otton and Mason Taylor? I think that's fine. 12-man full PPR, Rashad White, Harold Jr., for Kittle and Monty. Who wins? I would prefer to have Kittle and Monty because I think Rashad White will soon be out of the equation. I lost Igbuka and Neighbors. Okay, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense then. That's fine. Like, subscribe, and join the Notorious Fantasy Discord. Yes, sir. Higgins or Addison? Addison. It is rough, dude. The way the injuries have been this season have been so brutal. I can't, like, maybe I'm just stuck in the moment, which is definitely something that happens in fantasy football. But this really, like, as someone that's been making videos for a long time, I can't remember a year where guys were as hurt as this year. Right? And maybe I'm wrong, but like, it seems like there's so many injuries across the league. And I guess like CeeDee Lamb's coming back now, but so many guys have been out. Who do you start at the flex? I'm going ETN. Oh, no, I'd go Warren over ETN. Rams or Seahawks defense? Let me check my rankings. Rams or Seahawks defense? I got the Rams at 10. Seahawks at 7. Seahawks. I'm feeling booty. I love feeling booty. Start 2, please. Metcalf, Diggs, Dowdle, Hubbard. I would go Dowdle and Metcalf. I lost Kittle week 1 also. Yeah, exactly. Hopefully Kittle's back. Thank you. I'm 5-1 and he's 1-5. Gaslighting him to saying he's gonna win now. I'm in one of my leagues. My whole bench is red. Yeah. This has been, again, just one of the most injury years that I can remember. I guess it does every year people get hurt, right? It's not like people are just always healthy, right? Like, you're always gonna get hit by the injury bug, but this year it feels like your team's just gonna get fucking smacked. I lost Hampton, Egbuka, Bucky, Benson, and Ridley so far. You gotta believe. Exactly. Like, that's brutal, man. Especially imagine if you had Connor and you drafted Trey Benson. You're like, oh, I got it. I fucking for the one time I drafted a handcuff, it worked, and then Trey Benson gets hurt, dude. That would drive me off the edge of the earth if that happened to me. That would have me on full tilt. And the worst thing that I did this year was I was so in love, pause, with Drake London and Bijan Robinson that I have those guys on so many of my teams, the same teams. So, like, when the Atlanta Falcons shit the bed, I am just getting railroaded in these leagues. And when they were on bye, I got railroaded too. Need to flex, half PPR, Kraft, Pollard, MHJ, Dobbs, Odden. I don't think MHJ plays. I would go Kraft and I would go Dobbs. Later, fellas. See you, man. Debo or Tet? Debo. Yeah, that is rough. Golden or Gainwell? I would lean Golden. Still 4-2. Very nice. Kittle says he's playing this week. Yeah, I think Kittle will play. Again, I want you guys to understand that when a player, and my hair looks like shit. When a player says that they are going to, I need to get a haircut. When they say that they're going to play, never take that with 100% certainty. I think he will play personally, but I'm just speaking in generality. Players all the time will be like, "Oh, I want to play, guys." Like CeeDee Lamb. You remember when CeeDee Lamb was like, "Oh, I'm going to play next week," and he's been out for now like 3-4 games in a row. Happens all the time. Thank you so much, Travel With Me. I really appreciate you. That is a fire picture, by the way. That is such a cool picture. I personally am way too scared to go snorkeling. Personally, I'm scared that somehow a shark would get me. I'm scared of that. I don't know. I'm scared of the ocean. I'm scared of a lot of things. I'm more of a mainland type of guy. Not trying to get eaten by a shark or something. But I do like the ocean. Like, I like watching videos about people doing that. Does anyone else watch really obscure YouTube videos at night? Like, I watch guys go like cave diving. Have you ever seen those cave diving videos where they fit into like, you ever seen like you know, like people have the doggy door? Like, they're literally squeezing into like a doggy door into like a cave that's like in the ocean, and they're like just barely, I don't know how they do it. It makes me very claustrophobic, but it's fun to watch. Thank you again for the super chat. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much, Travel With Me. Love you long time. Rico Suave saved me last week. Yes, sir. Snorkeling is for the fishes. I traded Jacobs with Hampton, and I wish I liked snorkeling because it does look fun. My buddies went to Jamaica in the summer. I couldn't go because it was during the fantasy football like prime August time, so I had to be here for you guys, but it looked fun. I traded Jacobs with Hampton dropping. That makes sense. Fannin, Waller, or Ertz? I'm going Waller, but if it's raining sideways, you gotta go Ertz. 3-3, not too bad. Yeah, I'm sorry about Haskins last week, guys. I apologize. Hanover, go Bucks, baby. Go Bucks. I really wish that, well, I guess my college team is actually good this year, Miami. But I wish I went to a school that was good at football. I went to, a school near me, like a D3 football team. So that's why, actually, that's even better because I could just still be a fan of the team that I was like Miami. Choose two: Wandale, T, Terry, Tez, Kendrick Bourne. I would go Terry and Wandale. Terry does not play. I would go Wandale and oh, I lied. I would go Terry and Kendrick Bourne. If Terry doesn't play, I would go Wandale and Kendrick Bourne. Jason question. Look up. Jason, where the hell is your question? Because I legitimately do not see it. Am I being gaslight? Are you gaslighting me, brother? You trolling me? Because your question just isn't showing up. And I don't doubt that you've sent the question. It's just not showing up in chat. I'm actually looking for it. Are you in the Discord? Are you on Twitter? Can you send it to me on there? I'm scared of more fantasy football injuries, dude. They're going to happen all the time. Yep. Good luck in week 7, everyone. Are you in the Discord, Mr. Jason? Because I want to answer your question. I so badly want to answer your question. Because YouTube's hating on you right now, man. YouTube is not letting you send that fucking super. It's not letting you put the question in chat. Because I've been looking this whole time. I can assure you. I stare at the chat. It's 5 spots up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm clicking every question that's above. It's not there. I know it's there on your screen. I fully believe you that it's on your screen, but it's not on mine. Is there any other way you can get it to me? YouTube blocked your message. Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. And it has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with you. All right. Just make sure you got to get your question to me somehow. So let me know how you're going to get it to me. I can literally send my email in the chat and you can email it to me. If you have Instagram, you can Instagram it to my regular Instagram. Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it anyway. Pause. Trade A-Chain away. I don't think A-Chain's getting traded. I'm gonna be honest. Fuck, I wanted to bet the first touchdown score and it just locked. Ooh, what the fuck? First touchdown score. Where's the first touchdown? Like, the game just started. How could it possibly be locked already? I love betting on the first touchdown. What's up? You're going to the Tampa Bay Dolphins game, dude. You're gonna watch the Dolphins get absolutely fucked if you're a Dolphins fan. I went to a Dolphins game IRL, so I wanted to run Hashkins. Oh, that makes sense. Are you in Miami? No, I live in New Jersey. I live in New Jersey. Is Baishal Tootin a drop? Yeah. Yeah, he is. He is a drop. Dude, why can I not bet the goddamn first touchdown? This fucking DraftKings, man. Who scores a touchdown? I want to bet who scores the first touchdown. I guess next touchdown score would be it. Okay. Let's go. Let's go Metcalf. I think it's going to be either Metcalf. I don't know who has the ball. We're going to do Metcalf. We're going to do... Yeah, it's got to be Metcalf, man. Metcalf or Jamar. And now it's going to be like Darnell Washington or something. It'll be Darnell Washington. It's just going to piss me off. All right. All right. I don't think, dude, I'm going to be honest, I don't think we're to rebuild. I think we should, but I also don't want to rebuild with Chris Greer at the helm. We need to get rid of him. Any hidden gems for the rest of the season? Dude, off the top of my head, I'm going to be honest with you. That's like something, if you asked me like an hour ago, I would have probably had like the easiest answer. But after streaming for an hour, I have no idea. Let's look. Hidden gem? I'm going to say Trey Tucker. Good luck. Yes, good luck to everyone. Yep, Underdog Fantasy is the best place. Yes, sir. Make sure you guys are on Underdog. If you are not, if you sign up using promo code Notorious, you receive this. Bam. You play $5, you get $100 in bonus funds or bonus entries. It's very easy to use. We are also now sponsored by a different company, and you guys will see that later too. We haven't won a playoff game since I've been alive. Me too. Yeah, make sure you guys are in the Discord. And Jason, please get me your question. I have no idea how you're going to get it to me. I'm not going to send you my phone number, obviously, but there's got to be some way that I can get this question. So, Jason, send it to me, to my email. I'm going to just have my email open. Send it to my email. That's my email. And there's a private email. It's not going to fucking... If just any of you just randomly message me on here, I'm not going to answer. I barely look at it. It's my business email. Send it there. If you can't send it there, it's at Nick Lepre on Instagram. It's my real name. And at NotoriousFantasy on Twitter. And I'll be looking. Thank you, Spock, for helping out tonight. Thank you to everyone. Good luck to everybody. First year playing fantasy and you love it. I'm glad you like it. Message you in the Discord. Well, if Jason super chatted and he didn't get his question in, so if he just puts it in the Discord, I will answer it. I'll be looking for it. And then on Instagram or on Twitter, I'll answer anyway. So I appreciate you guys. Love you a long time. And go DK Metcalf, baby. Fins up. Adios. Love you guys. Peace out. And as Caitlin says, good boy.